Alright guys, we are back in the game and I have a new mod installed called Offhand Weapons. And the mod actually comes in two different versions. One is a dagger version and one is a staff version. And it essentially adds an offhand weapon instead of a shield to block with. Kind of a parrying type of thing, which I think can add to some immersion as well as be a pretty cool, unique little thing. So, the daggers are sold in a fighting chance inside the Imperial City Market District. If you see Rosan, she's the one that's selling them. So
Armor, weapons, I have it all. How may I
and you
help
can see we have the parrying dagger backhand,
That's a good.
rough parrying dagger,
That's a good.
and rough parrying dagger backhand.
Thank you. Farewell.
And we will go ahead and equip and see how this looks. Alright, rough parrying dagger. So as you can see, this is the classic parrying dagger that you would see back in the olden days. Pretty nice. Let's get a good view of that outside in the streets. Not bad. Third person view. Looks
Nothing
good.
I'd like to talk about.
Goodbye.
Alright. Now let's see what this rough parrying dagger backhand looks like.
How are
Go
you?
back there.
I've been better.
A new quarrel was besieged by marauders.
Not
I
bad.
wish I could go with...
So
Alright. Let's go ahead and check out just the regular parrying dagger.
What's the news from the other
Here.
parts of Tamriel?
they say syndicates of wizards
It looks a little nicer than the rough parrying dagger.
led a boycott of Imperial goods.
Parry dagger
Some
backhand.
said Isle has become
So it comes in two different versions. Let's get away
I
from
understand the Fighters Guild
that
desires
mess.
members.
And we will go ahead and check out the staff version in reindeer staffs. Hello.
You're in Reindeer Staffs, and I'm Reindeer. I sell magical staffs. Imagine that.
Yeah.
They offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil.
Alright. So the staffs come in a few versions. There's the rough offhand staff, rough offhand worm staff,
You drive a
staff
hard
of
bargain.
worms, offhand staff,
I let that go too cheap.
offhand worm staff, and then there's an enchanted version that sells for an enormous amount of gold. It has a 50% reflect spell and a 50% resist magic enchantment on
I
it.
appreciate. Farewell.
Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at these outside. Alright, first, rough offhand staff. Go. Not bad. That right there has some Gandalf the Grey vibes for sure. Let's see what this regular offhand staff looks like. Not bad. Better stats, a little more expensive. The rough offhand worm staff, as you can see, is a very necromancer-y type of shield. I mean, technically it's not a shield, but it is functioning 100% as a shield. That's kind of cool. And we also have just the offhand worm staff, which I think is identical, they're the same, just better stats and a little more expensive. And then we have the offhand spellbreaker staff here, and this is the one with the enchantment. Not bad. Alright guys, that is what I have for you. It looks like while you're running about, it is just hanging out in your offhand, similar to how a shield is. Just to reiterate, shield's just going to sit there, so is this. Alright, so I think that's kind of neat. Compared to a regular, see this is the rusty iron shield. These have less armor than the rusty iron shield it looks like, but also I am more skilled in heavy armor than I would be with light armor, and I think all of these count as light armor. So in comparison, the rough leather shield is probably more apt to compare to, and these are at a 2, the rough versions, so that kind of lines up with the rough leather shield armor rating and weight. They're just a little more pricey. And then I think these are the equivalent of Elven, but I can't confirm that right now. Just an assumption I have based off previous versions of the mod. It was originally a replacer of the Elven shields, so I think that probably lines up about right. Either way, it's a pretty cool and interesting mod, and I hope you guys appreciate this demo of the offhand weapons. Now we're going to go ahead and get into installation. Alright guys, we are on the offhand weapons mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And real quick, if you like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. Alright, so let's dive into installation. And the first thing we need to talk about is the requirements. So here we have a requirement of UE4SS Test Sync Map Injector. And because this mod is required, UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered is also required. So I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to both of my videos, one covering UE4SS Test Sync Map Injector, and my video covering UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered as well. Alright, with requirements out of the way, let's go ahead and move into installation. If we look here in the Files tab, you'll see several files. These main files are the standalones that have the parrying daggers and the staffs. If you want both of them, you need to download both of them. If you only want one or the other, just download the one. Both of them function independently of each other. They don't depend on each other whatsoever. And then we have 2 additional optional files down here. This adds idle animations, just a little bit extra immersive. And then this one also converts the light shield sound into something more resembling sword and dagger blocking sounds. So if you want those additional things, I'll walk you through that as well. Alright, so first way of downloading all this that I'm going to do is with the mod manager download for Vortex. That is my preferred way to handle mods. It's very easy to keep track of updates and whatnot, so Vortex is my go-to. But I will cover manual afterwards, so let's dive into Vortex right now. Do a mod manager download. It is real quick going to remind us that we need Test Sync Map Injector UE4SS. Please follow my video covering how to get that installed if you don't already have that installed. Several mods are going to require this, so never a better time than now to get it downloaded. Alright, so here we go with the slow download. And while I'm waiting on that to download on Vortex, I'm also going to get the staff pack with the slow download. And I'm going to go ahead and get the idle animations and the sound effects. Alright, and all 4 of those should be installed right here. On Vortex, you can see offhand weapons. We've got the parrying dagger, staff pack, light shield sound fix, and idle animation open hand fix. And if we look at our load order, you can see here we got the parry dagger standalone and the offhand staves. And we don't see the other 2 mods showing up in the load order. That is totally fine. These are still going to function just fine. As long as we have them enabled, we know that they're good to go. Alright, so that was the really quick Vortex installation. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the manual installation. So for the parrying daggers standalone, we will do a manual download. It's going to remind us we need that file. Alright. I'm going to do a slow download, and any of you that are familiar with my videos know that I have a manual mods folder where I keep all of my mods that I install manually, and this is going to be no different. So I'm going to save it there. And then once it's downloaded, we're going to open up this folder. You can see we have the 7-zip folder here. I'm going to go ahead and extract it using 7-zip. And then, well, if it's showing it, there it is. Yep, okay. I can go ahead and delete the 7-zip folder now. I don't need it since I have it extracted. And when we open this folder, you can see it already has the file paths ready to go, and I think that's for Vortex compatibility purposes. But let's go ahead and open up the game folder real quick. I'm doing that from Vortex. If you guys are trying to get this installed manually, you probably already know where your games folder is. If you don't, for Steam, it is under Steam, Steam Apps Common, Oblivion Remastered. And then over here on the mods folder, you can see Oblivion Remastered is here. We're just going to follow that same path all the way through. We have packs, mods, all that. So we're going to have to drop all of these files here, these pack files, over here. I'm not going to do that right now, but if you're manually installing this, you will need to drag these over here to this folder here. As you can see, I already have Parrying Dagger Standalone, Parrying Dagger Standalone Forms pack here. I also have these. Vortex already is handling all of this for me, so I don't have to manually go through any of this. Yeah, pretty straightforward and simple on that end. If we head back up to this content folder, we have the deb, OVB, data, and we have this ESP file as well as sync map things. We need to do the same here. So under dev, OBV data, in here is the offhand staves and the parrying daggers, any file, or ESP file, sorry. Right here, as you can see, what you would do here is you would just drag this over. Vortex is already doing that for me, so I don't have to worry about that. The other thing that we need to do once we have that there is we need to go to the, man, is it, it's not load order, it's plugins.txt. Yep. Alright, so from there we need to open up this plugins, the plugins.txt file in this same folder inside of data. And this essentially is our load order. And we need to make sure that you add parrying daggers underscore standalone.esp to this load order exactly how it is shown here. It needs to be exactly this. Put it here and then save. Alright, and then once that's done, you also need to go into the sync map folder and drag this ini file over here as well. And then you are done with installation. That is the Parrying Dagger standalone. Additionally, what you could do, if you wanted to, instead of going into each separate folder and taking all those files and putting them in the different places, what you could do is you could just drag this Oblivion Remastered folder over inside of Oblivion Remastered and let it just populate all of the things in the right folders right where they go. It will automatically do that for you. It'll skip a lot of these headaches, but it is nice to be able to get into the content deb OVB data and make sure, even if you did just drag Oblivion Remastered folder over to let it do its thing, you will still need to open the plugins.txt and make sure that the ESP file is here. You need to add it in your load order. If you don't do that, none of this is going to work. Okay, so that is the installation for Parrying Daggers. Let's go ahead and get back here and check out the manual download for the staff pack. It's going to be a very similar process. We're going to do a slow download. And inside the manual mods folder, I'm going to save the 7-zip. And then we can, once it's downloaded, see it over here. Offhand staves, standalone is a zip file, zip folder I mean. We're going to go ahead and go to 7-zip and extract to its own folder. And as you can see, offhand stabs is here now. So we no longer need the zip folder, so we can delete it. And we can come over in here. And again, if you would prefer, and this is probably a lot simpler, to just drag this Oblivion Remastered folder over here and drop it in the Oblivion Remastered folder with a space there and let this kind of populate the Oblivion Remastered. You can do that. It'll work just fine. You can also go in here and get to these content packs, mods, and make sure you drag all of these over here. That is also something. This is the couple of extra steps maybe to do this, but if we scroll down here, we can see I already got them here because Vortex is already doing all the heavy lifting for me. I can't stress how much Vortex saves you in time. Alright, so now that we've done that, we can head back up to the content folder, and we can go to dev, OBV data, dev, OBV data. We just need to drag this ESP file over here, and if we scroll down, you can see I already have that installed because Vortex is doing all of that heavy lifting for me. I don't have to worry about it. And then in the sync map folder up here, you can see we've got a couple of inis here. We would just drag this over as well. Now I already should have the offhand staves standalone ini right here. It's because Vortex is already handling it and I've got it installed. And then the last thing you need to do is up in this data folder. We again need to open this plugins.txt. And you need to make sure that the offhand staves underscore standalone.esp is showing up here exactly as it appears here. You need to make sure that it's here. This is your load order. If you don't have the ESP inside your plugins.txt file, none of this is going to work. So just keep that in mind. Once you have it in here, go ahead and save it. And that's it. So now the staffs is installed manually. But that's not all. We have these two optional different things. We've got the idle animation and we have the light shield sound fix. I'm going to start with the idle animations and we'll go through the manual install for that as well. Do a slow download and it's going to show up in my manual mods folder again. And I can come up here. Alright, so here it is as a 7-zip folder. We're going to go ahead and extract it with 7-zip, just like the others. And you can see it showed up here, so I no longer need the 7-zip folder, so I'll go ahead and delete it. And when we open this, you see we have these three, the pack, UCAS, and UTOC, all of these different things. We just need to drop those in the correct folder location, which I think is here in packs mods, but let me double check on that real quick. Yes, so these three files we just need to drop in here. It's the idle animations closed offhand. As you can see, Vortex is already handling all of that for me, so I don't have to do that, but let's go through exactly where this is so nobody's asking questions later. So we're in our Steam Apps Common, and then we're going into Oblivion Remastered. Oblivion Remastered Content Packs folder. And then we go into the squiggly line mods folder here. And there it is. That's the location. You would just drag all these over here. I'm not going to do it because Vortex is handling that for me, but all you have to do is drag and drop and it's done. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go ahead and get the light shield sound fix. It's going to be a manual download. We'll do a slow download. It's going to be in the manual mods folder still. And go ahead and show it right here. You can see light shield block sound replacer is right there. Now that it's downloaded, we will extract it with 7-zip. Light shield block sound replacer right there. So we no longer need this 7-zip folder. So I'll delete it. And we can go in here to light shield block sound replacer. And you can see it again is one of these .pack files. You can see the type is pack file. If we look over here in this same folder, content packs mods, if we scroll down, you can see light shield block sound replacer _p.pack. All you have to do is drag this on over to this same folder, and that is it. It will then be installed. And that is the whole process. We have manually installed all 4 of these different files. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. It seems it was quite a bit of extra steps compared to a lot of different mods that I've covered in the past, but also, man, is Vortex so much nicer at installation than trying to manually install everything. Alright, with that all out of the way, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the Staffed Staves and Weapons Charge Increased mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And don't forget, if you like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. Alright, so what is Staffed? Well, it's a pretty straightforward and simple mod. Basically, it has 3 different standalone versions to, well, 2 different independent mods, one for staffs, one for weapons, and each of those comes in 3 different types. You can either double the charge capacity, or multiply it by 10, or set it to a maximum of 65,535. Pretty nice, pretty interesting. Definitely increases the, charge capacity of weapons and staffs. Very, very nice, very useful. Double might make you feel a bit better about the things that you find in your journeys. 10 times does seem a bit busted, but again, you have to recharge it. And then the max just makes pretty much everything unlimited charge. Okay. Next thing we need to talk about is requirements. And there are none. There are absolutely no requirements for this mod. But if you are using the mod Oblivion Remastered Rebalance, there is a patch in order to get this to be compatible with it. So if you are using that mod, go ahead and follow this and get that patch installed as well. I am not going to be covering that in this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and move along to installation. Okay, so under files, you can see we have 6 different files. This is the Enchanted, and you can see there's 3 different options, and these 3 are the staff versions, and they also come in 3 different versions. Now, I am only going to walk you guys through one of these, and I'm going to do the 10 times version. I'm going to go through both the Mod Manager download and the manual download. So I'm going to start with Enchanted times 10, starting with the good old Vortex install. Do a slow download, and then I'm going to come back here to Files while that's downloading and go to the Staffed times 10 and do a Mod Manager download for that as well. Alright, and then we come back to Vortex right here, and you can see both of them are nice and neat installed right here under Staffed, Staves and Weapons Charge Increased, Enchanted times 10, and Staffed times 10 respectively. Alright, if you are using Vortex, that is it. Super simple, super quick and easy. It is done and installed. If you are not using Vortex and insist on doing things the long way, let's go through manual installation. So we're going to start with the Enchanted times 10, do a manual download, do a slow download, and for those of you that are familiar with my videos, I do have a manual mods install folder where I keep all of the mods I install manually. This is going to be no different. Save it there. Then we're going to go ahead and open it. And real quick, I need to open the Games folder from Vortex. That's pretty easy. Do the Open Game folder. There it is. And let's get back to that mod folder here. As you can see, we have the Enchanted times 10 zip folder here. I'm going to extract using 7-zip. And then now that it's showing up, we can go ahead and delete the old zip folder. And I'm going to open this up. So you can see here we have the Enchanted x10.esp file right there. We need to drag and drop that into the right folder inside our Games folder. For you manually installing the mod, you probably already know where your Oblivion Remastered folder is, but for anyone that is unaware and needs a reminder, wherever you have Steam installed, it is in Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered, and then we need to drag and drop this thing into Oblivion Remastered, binaries, Win64, source. No, that's not right. Where have I gone wrong? Is it content, dev, OBV data, data. Yep. Sorry, guys. That's the correct folder here. So again, from Oblivion Remastered, we go into the Oblivion Remastered, content, dev, OBV data, data, and as you can see, I have a ton of ESP files in here. And I'm going to bet if we scroll down, you can see the enchanted x10.esp is right there. That's because Vortex is handling all of this for me and I don't have to track down the correct location. It just throws it in the right place. But for anyone manually installing, you will need to drag and drop this thing over into this data folder here. And then we are almost done, but we do need to do one last thing, is pull up this plugins.txt file here. And we need to make sure that enchanted x10.esp, exactly how that shows up, is in your load order right there. Once you have that added, go ahead and save, and this mod will be installed. Alright, so that is for the enchanted version. Now we need to go to the staffed version. And the same thing applies to all of these in general. They're all going to be the same steps. But I'll go ahead and walk you through the staffed times 10 manual download, because it is a slightly different file. I'm going to save it to the manual mods here. Again. And if we go back here, you can see I have staffed times 10 zip folder here. I'm going to go ahead and extract it. And you can see it's right there, so I don't need the zip file anymore. I'll go ahead and delete it. And we're going to open up this folder now, staffed x10.esp. And back here, where we installed the previous one, we're just going to drop this in the same place right here. So you're just going to drag and drop this over. As you can see, I already have it here because I've installed the mod with Vortex, so it's already installed and good to go. Vortex is really nice. But once you have staffed x10.esp, there is one last step. You do need to go to the plugins.txt file that we were just at for enchanted x10, and you need to add staffed x10.esp exactly how it is shown right there into this load order, and save the file, and you're good to go. And you now have both the enchanted times 10 and staffed times 10 installed manually. All right. Hopefully, guys, that was pretty easy to follow along and nobody got lost along the way. But if you are encountering any issues or got lost somewhere along the way, let me know in the comments down below, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can, and hopefully we'll get things squared away for you so you can enjoy some great mods like this. Alright guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the Unlimited Artifacts Remastered mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And please don't forget, if you like this mod, go ahead and endorse it. I can't do so because I haven't downloaded the mod yet, but shortly I will. Alright, with that out of the way, let's dive into what exactly this mod is and what it does. So this mod essentially allows all of the Daedric artifacts that you find out and about in the wilds to have unlimited charges, which is pretty nice and probably more lore accurate than what's presented in the game, because it would make sense. And it has several different versions. There's 8 files, but essentially there is a main file with just the base game, and it includes all of these different weapons. See, Daedric artifacts here. And then there is also the AIO edition, which includes the base game files, but also has the sword and the mace of the Crusader, Umaril's sword, Mehrunes' razor, and Dragon Sword of Lainlin, which is part of the Battlethorn Castle DLC. So there's these 2 main versions that have basically all of this, and then whether or not you want to include these. And then there's the DLC, standalones, optionals. So we'll dive into that in a little bit. There is also the Vampiric Umbra option, which turns the Soul Trap for 120 seconds on strike into absorb 5 health per second for 5 seconds on strike, which you can add in as its own individual thing to add. And then there is also the Lesser Uniques add-on, which includes all of these different options as well. And these aren't necessarily artifacts. They are pretty good items. Thornblade, Wit Splinter, Red Wave, Sufferthorn. All of these make a lot of sense. They also include Apotheosis, Activated Warblade, Sunderblade. These are things that you can buy in the Imperial City Market District and from other merchants across the world. So it's just, if you also want to include lesser uniques, you can do so as well. Now, this mod's compatibility, we might want to talk about. It is compatible with things that alter artifact weapon records. It is compatible with mods which de-level artifacts. It is not compatible with mods that alter artifact enchantment records. So just keep that in mind. If it affects the weapon itself, like the damage of the weapon or the model and whatnot, that will work, but anything that touches the enchantments does not. Alright, with that out of the way, let's dive into installation. So this is the AIO edition, which is the all-in-one. It has the base game and Shivering Isles, Battlethorn Castle, Mehrunes' Razor, and Knights of the Nine expansion, which all of that's included in the Oblivion Remastered, just so everybody's aware. It does not include the Umbra Sword Absorb Health swap or the Lesser Uniques add-on. And then there's just the base game edition, which only includes the base game and Shivering Isles. It does not include Battlethorn Castle, Mehrunes' Razor, Knights of the Nine expansion. So these are the 2 main files. I think I would recommend the all-in-one because everybody already has all this DLC included. You might as well get the all-in-one. Alright, individual files, however, if you did want to get just the base game plus one of these, that kind of makes sense. We have the Battlehorn expansion, which is the Dragon Sword of Lainlin. We have the Knights of the Nine, Crusader weapons, and Umaril's sword. We also have the Mehrunes' Razor expansion right here. And we also have the Lesser Uniques add-on. And this is for all those other items that aren't technically artifacts, which, you might be interested in that as well. Personally, that kind of breaks my immersion, and I don't think that I would like this, so kudos to the mod author to make it an optional file, as that probably would prevent me from downloading this whole mod to begin with. Okay. Then down here we have these two miscellaneous files. And this one is a change to Mehrunes Razor enchantment. It gives it a 10 health absorption, a silence for 120 seconds, 20 armor and weapon damage for 10 seconds, and damage to health 5 for 120 seconds, plus the original effect. So that's quite a bit of an upgrade to the Mehrunes Razor. If you're interested in it, go ahead and get it. And then the Vampiric Umbra that absorbs health. Alright, so now that we know what files are available, I'm going to walk through the all-in-one edition, and I think that's actually going to be it for me, but just know all of these are going to follow the exact same download patterns. It's either going to be the Mod Manager download or manual, but they're all going to basically follow this exact same pattern. So let's go with the all-in-one version here. I'm going to do a Mod Manager download to start us off, and then we'll get into manual afterwards. So it is now downloading. It is the Unlimited Artifacts Remastered All-in-One Edition right here. Alright, so now that's installed, there's not much else to it. Vortex has done all the heavy lifting, and we're totally fine and good to go. Now, let's go ahead and jump to manual installation, which involves a little bit more work and a couple more steps. We're going to do the slow download. And for anyone that's been watching my channel, you know that I have a manual mods folder that I stash all of these. Just keeps things nice and clean, easy to remember where they are, and keep things organized. Alright, so now that I have it downloaded, I'm just going to open this folder. Now I have to open the Games folder for Oblivion Remastered. If you guys are manually installing this, you probably already know where your Games folder is, but for anyone that does not know, wherever you have Steam installed, it is going to be under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. Alright, so now let's get back to the mod itself. We have the all-in-one edition zip file installed. We need to extract it. I'm going to use 7-zip to do so. And now that it is extracted, we can delete the zip file and go to the all-in-one edition here. And you can see we have the unlimited artifacts.esp file. So, where do we drop this sucker in? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. We're going to dive into Oblivion Remastered, Content, Dev, OBV Data, Data, and if we scroll down here, you're probably already going to see it because Vortex is managing this, so it already has unlimited artifacts installed right here. To manually install it, you just drag and drop and bring it over here. But Vortex is already doing that for me, so I will not. But that's what you would need to do to install it yourself manually. And then we have one more step. We need to open this plugins.txt file, and we need to make sure that unlimited artifacts.esp is in our load order right there. As long as you have this thing in your load order, it should totally work. Just put it in there exactly as it appears over here. If you do not see the .esp, you need to add that. I can see the extensions to all my files. It's a setting you can do. I'm not going to get into that right now, but you do need unlimited artifacts.esp right there. And that is it, guys. We now have the mod Unlimited Artifacts installed and ready to go once you save this, and that's it. Hopefully that was a pretty straightforward process. Hopefully nobody got lost along the way. If you did get lost or you ran into any issues, please let me know in the comments down below. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. hopefully get your game up and running with all the mods that you like. And with all of that out of the way, guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the Breton Hero Armor mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And don't forget, guys, if you like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. Lets the mod author know that you like the mod. Alright, with that out of the way, let's dive into requirements for this mod. So we have two main requirements here. UE4SS for Oblivion Remastered, absolute requirement, and UE4SS Test Sync Map Injector, also a hard requirement. You will need both of these in order for this armor to appear in game and function. And if I remember correctly, there is also a soft requirement for NL tag remover. If you do not have NL tag remover installed, you're going to get this annoying little NL in front of all of this armor. So just keep that in mind as well. I have videos covering all three of these different mods, and I will leave links in the description down below so you guys can go ahead and get those installed if you don't have them installed already. But I think that you do, because most people do, because these are very common requirements for several mods out there. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the actual installation for this mod. Okay, so I do want to cover a couple of these here. There are 4 different versions of this mod. We have the base Breton Hero version right here, which I just demoed to you guys, but we also have the heavy armor version right here. And additionally, for both the light armor and heavy armor, we have the no enchantments version. So if those enchantments are a bit immersion breaking, which I think that they might be for me, you might want to go ahead and install the no enchantments version instead. But that is totally up to you guys. You saw the enchantments that I just demoed. I figured I'd demo with the enchantments so you guys can see what they looked like. But for installation purposes, just because I know in the future I'm not going to want the enchanted version, I'm going to want the unenchanted version and enchant it all myself, maybe eventually. And I don't see this armor being very good heavy armor, though an argument could be made, I suppose. I'm just going to get this the Breton Hero No Enchantments, which is the light armor version with no enchantments. It says main file is required, main file required, main file required. So even if you are going to get these optional files, just keep in mind the main file here is still required. So I guess we'll go through the Vortex installation real quick, and then we'll go into manual afterwards. All right. Vortex. It's going to remind us of these 2 different mods that we need. Again, I have links in the description down below. Please get those installed in order for this to work. And we're going to go to the slow download for Vortex. And while that's downloading, I will also get this No Enchantments Light Armor version here. And do the Mod Manager download for that as well. And Vortex should have these nice and installed. Unresolved file conflicts, which makes some sense. We can come into rules here, and for Vortex, there's a nice little thing where if it detects that a mod is completely overwriting another mod or anything like that, it's going to ask how you want Vortex to handle the conflict. So we want to load the no enchantments option after the Breton Hero base mod. And we'll leave it at any version. And then we can go ahead and save this. And now Vortex has a new rule that it's going to remember to load these in that specific order. And the reason it was asking is because both of those have the bretonhero.esp file, and when it sees two of those with the exact same name, it's going to ask you very, very clearly which one you want. It's not going to make any assumptions. So just keep that in mind. I think that is it for Vortex installation. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, pretty easy. I much prefer Vortex over manual because of how simple and easy it is. But I did make a promise, so let's get into manual installation. So we are going to go ahead and do a manual download of the Breton Hero. And we'll do a slow download. Anyone familiar with my videos knows that I have a manual mods folder where I keep track of all the mods that I install manually. So we're going to save it there. And once it's done downloading, we will go ahead and open that folder location. And we also are going to need the games folder open. So I'm going to go ahead and do that through Vortex because it's pretty simple. If you guys are manually installing this, you probably are already aware of where your games folder is, but in case you're not, wherever you have Steam installed, it is going to be under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. Alright, so let's get back to the mod here, and you can see the bretonhero.zip is here. We are going to extract it. There. And once it shows up, we no longer need the zipped file, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And now we're going to open this extracted folder, the Breton Hero. And as you can see, it's got a nice folder structure here with Oblivion Remastered. What we can do immediately is just drag and drop this Oblivion Remastered over into this Oblivion Remastered with a space in between. As long as it's in here, it's basically going to fill everything in based off the structure that it has. But if you don't want to do that, we can follow along all the way through. I went to Content, and we'll go to Packs, Logic Mods, and you can see we have these three files. We just need to drag these on over. Now, Vortex is already doing that for me, so I'm not actually going to do that, but you will need to drag this over here. And then also inside of packs, there's this squiggly mods right here. It's got these. And if we scroll down here, I think Vortex already has these installed as well. Oh, they're saved under Breton Hero Assets and Forms. So you would just need to drag these on over here as well. And we're almost done, but let's go ahead and get into Dev now. OBV Data, Data, and then we need to drag this bretonhero.esp file over here. You can see I already have it because I've used Vortex, and Vortex is handling all of this busy work for me, but you would need to drag this on over and drop it in. And then once that's done, we have two more steps. We need to go to the sync map, and we need to drag this bretonhero.ini file over here. I already have that with Vortex, so it's alleviating a lot of the issues there. And then we need to go back to this data folder and do the final step in all of this, which is we need to add this to our load order, which is in our plugins.txt file inside of this data folder. So we're going to open this up, and you just need to make sure that you have Breton Hero.esp right here added in the load order. Now, I don't think it really matters where in the load order this particular mod is right now. Not much is really going to affect it, so it could be near the top, it could be near the bottom. It does need to, however, be below these core files here, the Oblivion, all the DLCs, Knights, and the 2 altars. As long as it's below those, it shouldn't matter where you put it in the load order. Alright, once that's saved, you officially have the Breton Hero Armor mod installed manually. But let's say you want the No Enchantments Light Armor version, which I personally do, or any of these as well. These are going to download exactly the same as this, so I'm going to walk you through this manual installation, and you can see right here, installation instructions are the same. Overwrite Breton Hero.esp when asked. So we're going to do a manual installation, do a slow download. You can see the Breton Hero, no enchantments, is how it's going to be saved as. And if we go back to this folder here, you can see the .7zip files right here. We are going to go ahead and extract it again, just as we did before. And now that it's been extracted, I can delete this. We need to open this up, and you can see the Oblivion Remastered folder right there, just as we did before. And again, inside of Oblivion Remastered, if this is your update for no enchantments, all you have to do is drag this on over here and make sure that it's in this folder, and it's going to take care of business and overwrite all the other files that you have for the Breton Hero. It's probably going to ask you if you want to replace. You're just going to say yes. But if you don't want to just drag this over and you want to be a little more particular, you can. We're just going to dive into content dev OBV data. Content dev OBV data. We're going to go into data, and we are just going to drag this bretonhero.esp file over here and have it replace the one that we already have. And that's all there is for this installation. Seeing as we already have done the other heavy lifting for the Breton Hero Armor, this is all it requires, is just a replacement of the ESP file. Alright. With all of that out of the way, I hope nobody got lost, but if you did, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will try my best to get back to you in a timely manner, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of what's going on and get your version of Oblivion up and running with the mods that you like. And as always, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are in the Imperial City
Please show your
Palace.
respect for the Imperial Palace by keeping your voice down.
Of course. Which is, you know, the base of the giant tower in the middle of the Imperial City. And we are here for a very specific reason. I have a new mod installed called the Breton Hero Armor. And it is actually stashed here in the basement of the Imperial City Tower.
Remember, trespassing in the Imperial Palace is a serious crime.
Yeah.
Do not venture beyond the first and second floors.
Right. So we are going to have to bust in to go get this stuff. And my character at level 1 is pretty crappy at stealth. So I find it a bit unlikely that we're actually going to get there without getting caught, but we might be able to make a run for it anyways. So as you can see...
Stop!
Ah,
You violated the law. Then pay with your blood.
Alright. So where is this armor? Go ahead and show you real quick. This giant stair, giant thing. We see the Hourglass of Time. There is this Relics of the Second Era chest, and that is where all of these items are. So real quick, I'm just gonna take all and then make a run for it, I guess. It is a little bit unfortunate that it is in a restricted section. We could turn ourselves in, which might be much faster, actually.
Stop! That's too bad. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pay the 5. And these are not in a restricted chest, so they shouldn't be stolen from us as evidence or anything like that. Should just turn in whatever stolen goods there might be, which I'm assuming is none. And then we can check out this new armor. Okay, so we have the boots. Alright. We have a cloak. Interesting. The cuirass, oh no. We have the gauntlets. That's very interesting. We have the greaves here. It's looking better as I keep adding things on. And we have a hood with no belt. We have an unmasked hood. And an unmasked hood with no belt. And personally, I think I like the hood with no belt. But maybe that's just me. Let's go back and look at the cloak. Aha! So that's what it is. I'm gonna do the no loincloth version. I'll do this version. Yeah, looks good. And as you guys can see, it already kind of came with a bunch of enchantments on it, but it looks fantastic. Get rid of this. It is looking real good, guys. Take the arrows off and just kind of get a good look. For stealthing. I do like that the cape is kind of furrowing with the wind. Yeah, it does look good. It's strange that it's clipping
You have
through,
my
but
ear, citizen.
I still think it's good. This is a great mod, guys. It'll actually probably be pretty hard for me to not have this on when I make my stealthy type person. This might be the first stop I make in the Imperial City. But that's a playthrough for another time, guys. For now, just wanted to demonstrate what exactly comes with all this, and maybe I'll go through the enchantments. So, they are rather weak enchantments here, it looks like, but keep in mind, I am level 1, so assuming that these are leveled, I think they're pretty good enchantments overall. Definitely not anything to shy away from, definitely pretty powerful enchantments right now. Definitely going to affect your character by quite a bit. Let's see, active effects. Okay, so we have agility up by 20 total, acrobatics up by 14, blade by 13, We've got hand to hand by 13, light armor by 19. Yeah, there's a huge boost in a lot of different things here. %9 resistant to normal weapons is kind of crazy. But I'm imagining that this is very leveled. If I was to be level like 20 or so, it's probably a much stronger enchantment. So just keep that in mind as well. This might bring a bit of power to your character, especially if you snag these immediately after exiting the sewers at the beginning of the game. It will be pretty strong. But outside of that, I think this is a fantastic mod. No reason not to have it installed. It's kind of out of your way, so you could have some playthroughs where it's installed, but you don't pick it up. Yeah. Alright.
You have my ear, citizen.
Right. With this mod review out of the way, let's dive into installation. Alright, guys. I am on the Protective Headgear Closed Iron Helmet mod page on Nexus Mods. But this mod coverage is going to be slightly different than mods I've covered in the past. I don't think I'm going to demo this because there are so many different versions of Protective Headgear. So many different replacers that I'm just going to try to cover as many of them as there are available right now, all made by the mod author Hug-a-Muffin. If you guys like this mod, or any of the ones that I'm going to show, go ahead and endorse them once you have them downloaded. And as always, guys, I will leave links in the description down below to each and every one of these different ones that I'm going to cover. So the question is, what is this mod? And what is the Protective Headgear series of mods, I guess? Well, in the vanilla version of the game, the iron helmets expose your face quite a bit. And for anyone that's a huge fan of fantasy movies and whatnot, back in the medieval times, in war movies and whatnot, you see people getting stabbed in the face all the time. And this mod aims to bring a little bit more of protection to one of your most vital organs, your face. And that's exactly what it does. And you can see from some of the images here, we'll just go through a couple. You can see this was the initial version 1, and this is version 1.3. So this mod author has put in a ton of work to show exactly what kind of progress he's been making and what kind of great additions there are, and just make this overall look like a very nice helmet that does what it's supposed to do and keep you protected. But he didn't just stop with iron, he's got quite a few more of these. And some of these have a couple unique variants as well. So steel, for instance, you get your choice of different versions, but you can only have one version installed at a time. So keep that in mind as well. You can see we've got some pretty interesting things. And I do think these work with beast races as well, which is a bit of a tricky situation, I would imagine. I personally don't have this downloaded just yet, and I haven't tested with an Argonian or Khajiit, but just know that's the point of these mods, is to cover your face. We have a Dwarven version as well. Now, there's an Argonian right there, so you know, your nose might get smushed a bit, but just keep in mind that that's what's going to look like if you have the helmet on. And I think it looks pretty good, to be completely honest with you guys. There's also ebony, and you can see a couple of different versions here. Just a base one with a little point at the top there, a little red fluff at the top. And you can see here we've got the plume, we have a blink, we have a spike, we have a crest, which is pretty nice, and we also have the flute version. And I think these are fantastic, and they double as both protection and also menace. Pretty cool stuff, guys. And if you thought it was only going to be heavy armor, it is not. And we are showing amber right now, which I think actually is heavy armor, maybe. We've got different versions. So we have a kind of open one, we have the half closed where your eyes are out, we have the closed, and then we have the glowing eyes version. Pretty cool stuff. I think personally is fantastic. This is probably going to be in my load order until the end of time. Look at this leather variations here. That is leather armor that I wanted. Look at that. It's phenomenal. This is some of the best stuff of all time, guys. We've got the fighter. We've got the brute. We've got the sneak thief, the prowler, and the spooky. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Look at that. I love it. We also have the chainmail, which I think definitely adds an air of menace. Makes you pretty intimidating. Chainmail is good stuff. Space for beards. Nice. As you can see, this was the before, and that's a very stabbable face, and that is less so. That's what I was looking for in pictures. I was hoping there was a lot more of those before and afters. Alright, so we got the Elven here, and as you can see, there's 4 different versions here. Closed off, opened, and then also with wings on this thing here. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Yeah, that just looks good. I don't know what else to say, guys. Looking pretty good. And it is also working with pleasing palettes and Elven Armor rework. That is really nice to know. That's amazing. That's real good. Alright, and then glass. That looks good. Alright, so we got the opened, where you can see the eyes and beard and mouth, and then we have the closed with a nice little veil over it. That is really nice. Man. Please tell me there's a before and after. Man. Good stuff. Alright guys, so there's all these different versions of, well, I guess not different versions, but different mods in the series for protective headgear. They are all protective headgear, all made by the same mod author, Hug-a-Muffin. And I'm going to go ahead and walk you guys through the installation of just the iron one for now. I think all of the installation should be about the same. I know there's different versions, for instance, for ebony. And just real quick before I eat my words, we've got the ebony all-in-one here, and then we've got different versions. So yeah, I think they're all going to pretty much follow the same installation instructions. I'm just going to walk you guys through the iron. Patch for pleasing palettes, rust. Okay, so he came up with his own patches. That's great. Okay, so if you guys are using the pleasing palettes, just know this is going to also be a requirement for compatibility. Otherwise, you'll see this next to the rest of your armor being the pleasing palette color. Okay, so first up, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through Vortex installation for Protective Headgear Iron. We'll just do a mod manager download, do a slow download. And if we scroll up to Protective, right there, Protective Headgear Iron. And I think the rest of them are all going to show up as Protective Headgear dash whichever one they are. And that is it, guys. Vortex handles that real nice. No crazy complications there. I much prefer Vortex to manual installations all day, every day, guys. But let's go ahead and go through manual installation because I know people will ask for it. And we're just going to do the slow download. And for anybody that has watched my videos in the past, you know I have a manual mods folder where I stash all of my mods that I want to download and install manually. I'm just going to save this there. And we are going to go ahead and open that full folder where I have all these saved. And then I need to open the games folder as well. Now, for everybody watching that's manually installing, you probably already know where your Oblivion Remastered games folder is. But if you don't, just it's wherever you have Steam installed. It's going to be under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. Alright, so let's get back to the mod folder where we've downloaded it. It's in a .rar file. We're going to go ahead and unzip it with 7-zip, extract over here. You can see Protective Headgear Iron is right there. We no longer need this .rar file, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And we're going to open up this folder. As you can see here, we have Protective Headgear Iron. Open that up. And we have these three files right here. All that we need to do to get this installed is go into Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs, Mods, and if we scroll down here, I'm sure we already see all three of these are already here and installed because Vortex is doing all the heavy lifting for me and already has them installed. So all you would have to do to manually install is drag these three files over here and put them in this squiggly line mods folder. And that is it. You've got the mod installed. Hopefully, guys, that was pretty straightforward, pretty easy to follow along. I am, after getting done with recording, going to install all the other ones with Vortex. But let me know if you guys got stuck anywhere or if you have any trouble with the other mods. And I will hopefully be able to give you guys some updates if there's any complications with the other mods in the series, especially the ones that have different versions. But I don't think they're going to be installed any differently than this one. And hopefully I'll be able to help you guys if you get stuck and get you guys playing this game with the mods that you love. Alright, with all of that out of the way, guys, as always, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, I'm on Amelion's Paladin Armor mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And please don't forget, if you really like the mod, don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with that out of the way, let's dive into what exactly this mod is. So in the base game of Oblivion Remastered, there's a quest in the Fighters Guild where you have to go recover a man's ancestral armor from a tomb, and that armor is Amelion, the Amelion's Paladin armor. It's looking like this. It's got some okay stats, I suppose. But this is what it looks like in the base game. And all this mod does is update that armor to look like this, which I find to be much, much better. And you can see from some of these images, it includes all of the armor as well as the sword. And it also comes with 2 variants to the helmet. So as you can see, this is the helmet here of the regular version. And if you notice with the face mask here, we can go to the alternate helmet version here and see that that's kind of closed off now. So those are the 2 different types of helmets that you can get. And this mod also has an additional alternate file where you can replace the Knights of the Nine armor with this armor as far as the looks are concerned, which I think is pretty nice. I am gonna maybe consider this. I still have a playthrough where I'm gonna do the Knights of the Nine, and I haven't gotten to the point where I've gotten the armor, so I may play the game with the regular armor and then check out this replacement for one run through, and then maybe decide after that how much I like it compared to the base game. I still want to experience the base game, but we'll see. Just letting you guys be aware, there is also this version that replaces the Knights of the Nine armor as well. Alright, with that out of the way, I think next we need to talk about requirements. This mod doesn't require anything else. It's a standalone mod that just changes the texture of one set of armor in the game. There is, however, a mod made by someone else that changes the alt helmet glowing jewel. So we saw the alternative helmet. This includes a glowing jewel on the helmet. And I think that's pretty cool. So if you want this, I can also cover this as well. But for now, let's go ahead and get Amelion's Paladin armor installed manually. So there is something tragic. It is not supported by Vortex, and I tried downloading the Vortex a little bit ago, and it super does not know what to do with all these files. So let's dive into manual installation, and we're going to cover both the base and the Crusader replacer, as well as the alt helm glow. Alright, we're going to do a manual install, and those of you familiar with my videos know that I have a manual mods folder that I stash all my manually installed mods into. I'm going to go ahead and save that there, and open up this folder. And we need to put this in our Oblivion Remastered Games folder. So I'm going to open that up. Vortex is pretty good about knowing where everything is. Alright, so if you guys are installing this manually, you probably already know where your game folder is. But if you don't, it is in Steam Apps Common Oblivion Remastered. Alright, back to the mod. So we have it here in downloaded, the .rar file. We need to extract that with 7-zip. And I guess reload this. You can see it is extracted there. We no longer need the RAR file, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And we're just going to open this sucker up and start diving into it. So, in the mod, we have Amelion Paladin Armor, and then we have the armor textures, the helmet model, and the sword replacer, all three separate folders. We're going to start just with the armor textures, and it comes with these three files. We just need to know where to put these. So, that's pretty easy to find out. It is in Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs, Squiggly Line, Mods. I think this is actually a holdover from my failed attempt at Vortex. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. What we really need to do is we need to drag and drop these three files over here into this Squiggly Line Mods folder. And if we refresh this, they're going to be sorted alphabetically right there. Alright, the armor is officially installed. Let's get the sword. So we have the texture right here. We need to drag and drop these as well. And we have the model. We're going to go ahead and drag and drop them as well. And that is the sword. Now we need to get to the helmet. And you'll notice here we have an additional RAR file here. This is the alt helmet. We can go ahead and extract this as well in its own folder. And we don't need the RAR file anymore. If you want the alt helmet, you drag and drop these. If you want the other one, you drag and drop these. Do not have both of them installed. I'm sure that will go absolutely crazy on your game. Just 100% don't have both. One or the other. I'm going to do the alt helmet because I am going to get that glowing gem installed, and it requires the alt helmet. Alright, so after a refresh, we're going to see a lot of Amelion helmet, alt, armor, sword, texture, and model. And that is it for installation for this. Now, if you want the other thing, the Crusader Replacer, we can go through that now. We're going to do a slow download. Again, it's going to download a RAR file here, my manual mods folder. And we can open this up. If we go up here, you can see the .rar file has been downloaded. We're going to go ahead and extract it with 7-zip again. And assuming that it got extracted, and it did, we're going to go ahead and delete this RAR file. So now we have this Amelion Crusader Replacer folder here. And again, we just need this same folder that we were just messing around with opened. We're going to open this up, and you can see there's both the armor and helmet here. So if you want the Crusader Replacer, all you have to do is drag and drop these on over, and the Crusader armor will be replaced. And the same thing can be said with the helmet. You can drag and drop these on over, and you have replaced the Crusader helmet as well. And it actually is just that simple, just that easy, no big deal. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward manual installation right there. I think there's a way we can get Vortex to handle this as well, but that would take some more effort on my end. And for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Now, if you want the glowing jewel, again, you need the alt helmet. So just keep in mind, you absolutely will need the alternate helmet. Grab the helmet from it. Overwrite this mod. Yeah. Alright. So I don't think we should use Vortex to download this. I think we need to do the manual install for this as well. Do a slow download. It's going to be a zip file here. And if we open this up, we can see it says yes.zip. We're going to go ahead and extract it. 7-zip, extract to zip folder. And now that we have it extracted, we can delete the zip file. We're going to open this up, and as you can see, we have another 3 packs. We need to drop them in the same place. Amelion Helmet Alt Glow. Drag and drop these over. Refresh, and we can see we have Amelion Helmet right there. And real quick, I'm just going to go over this and make sure that I'm not doing anything really dumb here. Place this concept, mods, and helmet. Alright. See if you wanted a new version. Yep, okay. I think that's all there is, guys. I think that gets it installed and we're done here. Hopefully that was pretty simple, pretty easy and straightforward to follow. Hopefully nobody got lost along the way. If you did, please leave a comment down below, and hopefully I'll be able to get back to you pretty quickly and help you resolve any issues that you run into running into this mod. Alright guys, with all that out of the way, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the classic Blackwood Company Armor mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And if you find that you really like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and deep dive into what exactly is this mod. Classic Blackwood Company Armor is essentially a mod where the rival faction of the Fighters Guild, if you've played the Fighters Guild questline, is a up-and-coming Fighters Guild called the Blackwood Company. And in the original, they had, of course, their Blackwood Company armor, which was mostly dark, a dark version of steel, which was pretty cool. It wasn't great armor, it was the equivalent of steel, but it was cooler than regular steel, which seemed to be awfully bright. The Blackwood was rather dark. But for whatever reason, the Oblivion Remastered, they did not go the route of a dark steel armor. Instead, they made this armor ultra shiny, regular steel, just with a logo on it. And what this mod aims to do, and does really well, is darken the steel armor. That is exactly what this mod does, and it is glorious. And we can look at a couple of pictures here. I'm not really far along in a Fighters Guild playthrough yet to be able to see this armor, so I'm just going to show you from the mod page what this armor looks like. And man, does it look good. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's dive into something kind of important. Requirements. This mod does not require anything. It is a standalone mod by itself that will fully function if you download it. But there is one mod that requires this mod. And that mod is the Blackwood Helmet Gold Trim. And as you can see here, it adds the same gold trim that you see around here, and the buckles and everything else. It just adds that to the helmet, which at first I was kind of 50-50 on, but after looking at it and then coming back here, this helmet looks like it is definitely missing something. And it is 100% this little gold trim at the front. Alright, so now we're going to cover installation, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it for actually both of these. Alright, so let's check out the files here. We have the classic Blackwood Company armor. Place the 3 files in the correct order. Yada yada. This is the darker Blackwood Company armor. The old, much darker version. You only choose one. And this is the Blackwood steel weapons. Trying to see what people think. Blackwood style steel weapons replacer with a dark color to match the armor. Please tell me what you think. Yada yada. Combined with main files. Okay. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a mod manager download of the classic Blackwood Company armor. I'll start with a Vortex installation because sometimes Vortex is a bit tricky, and it is my preferred way to have mods installed. And I'll go ahead and go with the steel weapons as well. And if we look here, we have classic Blackwood Company armor right there, followed by Blackwood steel weapons. And it looks like everything's nice and installed. Go ahead and check the load order here. It's not showing up, which is expected. This is going to be replacement skins, so it's not necessarily got an ESP file or anything like that, which is what shows up on the load order. And for the Blackwood Helmet Gold Trim mod, we're going to go ahead and do the mod manager download. And as you can see here, it's showing up right here as well, Helmet Gold Trim. Okay, that was the Vortex installation for this mod, both of them, and as you can probably imagine, super simple, super easy, keep it simple, stupid. I love it. But now we're going to move on to the manual installation, which can be a bit tricky, so I'll go ahead and walk you through it. We'll do a manual download and do a slow download. I have a manual mods installation folder where I keep all of the mods I install manually. I'm just going to have it there. I'll open that up now. We can see that it got downloaded, and we also need our Oblivion Remastered open. So go ahead and open that game folder. Here it is. Now, I know a lot of you aren't using Vortex to find your game folder, and a lot of you already know where Oblivion Remastered is, but if for some reason you do not know where your Oblivion Remastered is, it is wherever you have Steam installed. Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. Alright, now that we have both these open, we need to extract this zip file we downloaded earlier. So zip extract to, and then we can go ahead and delete the zip file and come up here to Classic Blackwood Company Armor. And you can see these 3 files here. We need to put them in the right location. And to find it, we're going to go to Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs, Mods, and if we scroll down a bit, I bet it's already here. There they are, Classic Blackwood _P. And that is because Vortex has already got them installed and is handling all of this for me. So no big problem there. But for you guys, you will need to drag and drop these over here into the mods folder. Once you do that, you have the classic Blackwood totally installed and ready to go. Now, what happens when we want the steel weapons? We're going to go to the manual install again, do a slow download, same folder location. And I'm going to go ahead and, I went one too far. So we have now the Blackwood Steel Weapons zip file here, and I'm going to again extract it with 7-zip. Extract there. And since it is right there, we're going to go ahead and delete the zip file because we don't need it anymore. Open up the Blackwood Steel Weapons, and we look here. They're already in this mods folder right here, and we would just do the same thing. Drag and drop it over here into this mods folder. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And if you follow that, you will have the Blackwood Steel Weapons installed. Same process is going to be true for the darker Blackwood Company armor, but just to note, you do only want one of these installed. You do not want both. So just keep that in mind, pick one or the other, and you're going to install this exactly the same way. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's dive into the Blackwood Helmet Gold Trim manual installation. We'll do a manual download, slow download, and we're going to save it in the same folder location. And I'll go ahead and pull that up. You can see that it is installed and it's a zipped folder. We're going to go ahead and extract it just like we did the others. And you can see right here, helmet gold trim. So we're going to go ahead and delete this old zip file. And we're going to open up the helmet gold trim. And as you can see, we've got a couple of folders here. We got version 1 and version 2. And I think we are probably version 2. And that's based off the classic Blackwood Company. Let me double check here in the description. Extract download, okay. Requirements, yada yada. So what I do know is here we have this darker Blackwood Company armor. The old, much darker version, choose one version. I assume this is version 1, and there's version 2. Yep. So version 1 is the darker of the two, and version 2 is the lighter one. Now I have version 1 installed, so what we want to do is go to I have version 2 installed, sorry. We want to go ahead and get version 2 installed. Very simple, very straightforward. We're just going to drag and drop all of these into here, and that should handle it. Now, I did notice that Vortex has kind of gone about this a bit wrong. It went with version 2, which is what I wanted to have installed, actually. So maybe Vortex is a bit smart. Interesting. Things to think about. I know Fuzz UI all tabs first is working, which means that's probably working as well. But for you guys, you will want to take all three of these and just throw them in here, and that should work. It should handle everything. Yep, there it even is. Classic Blackwood helmet. Yep. Okay. And that is it, guys. As you can see, it's actually already in here. It's in the mods folder. And that's that, guys. Hopefully that was pretty easy and simple to follow along, pretty straightforward, and you guys found a new mod that you really like. If you got lost anywhere or are having any kind of issues, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try to help you resolve whatever issues you're getting into as much as I can remotely. And if I can't help, hopefully somebody else can peruse the comments section and leave some helpful comments. We have had people do that in the past with a couple other tricky mods. I don't see this being one of those, but you never know. And with all that out of the way, guys, happy modding and happy Mondays. Alright guys, we are on the Dark as Night Shrouded Armor mod page on Nexus Mods. As always, I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description down below so you guys can follow along with everything that I'm doing. And if you found that you like this mod, please don't forget to endorse it. That is basically the like button of Nexus Mods. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into what is this mod. Well, it's a mod that overhauls the Dark Brotherhood attire. And as you can see, it's got an all black version here, where the entire thing is just black with no flashiness, which I think is a bit more lore accurate for trying to assassinate people, probably, skulking about and whatnot. But it also has a version with just a red handprint on the shoulder, which I quite like quite a bit. And we have a more sinister red around some of these places, again with the red handprint there as well. And that's another angle, you can see it. And we also have a slightly purple tinted version, which is pretty nice. And you can see here we have the solid black in the menus. And then we have a more red top here, although it's still pretty dark, with a bunch of the red colors around the edges and the red handprint as well, which I think is pretty nice. And we also have, with slight green trimming around, a green handprint, which, you know, could be very thematic for an Argonian or a Poisoner. Could be pretty nice. And I think this is what the Dark Brotherhood armor looks like in-game right now, which is a bit frustrating, to be completely honest. Let's compare even the one that has red on it. Where did that go? That right there still looks better than this, for sure. Like, without a doubt. Look at that, and look at this. One of them is an assassin. One of them is a hobo on the streets. Alright. So yeah, that's what this mod is. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just a replacer with several different versions to choose from. And I think you can only have one installed at a time. So now let's dive into how to get this thing actually installed. So we go to the Files tab here, and you can see there are several different versions here. And as we saw before, this one is the Dark as Night, just the regular solid black from the first image. And then we have the green version, the purple version, the red hand only version, the red plus the shoulders, which is the highlights, and then we have the solid red version. So those are the different versions that we have here. And I think my personal taste is I like that red hand only. So red hand on the shoulder and everything else is black. I think that's very thematic. That definitely screams Dark Brotherhood, and I really like it. If it wasn't that, I'd pick the all black, but maybe I'll get the green one for an Argonian playthrough later. We will see. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and walk you guys through the red hand only version. Again, I want to stress all of these are going to download the exact same way, and you should only have one of them installed. Alright, so now we're going to start off with the Vortex installation, but I will get into manual a little bit later. So we'll go to Mod Manager Download, do a slow download. And if we come over here to Mods, you can see it's shown up as AAA LF Dark as Night Red Hands Only _P. Alright. So now that's installed and we're good to go. That was it. Vortex is very straightforward, very simple, and very nice. Most of the time. Now let's get into the manual installation now. Go here to manual download, slow download. And I have a manual mods folder that I download everything to, but you don't have to. Just make sure you know where this thing gets saved to. And we're going to go ahead and open that folder right here. And then we also need to open up the games folder for Oblivion Remastered. Alright, so now I've got that open, as well as the mods. And in case you guys are not aware of where the Oblivion Remastered folder is, it's wherever you have Steam installed, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Oblivion Remastered. Just keep that in mind. I know if you guys are planning on manually installing this, you probably are well aware of where this folder is. Alright, so back to the mod here. We have it downloaded as a .rar file. That's a-okay, but we do need to extract it. It should show up here. Yep. And now that it's been extracted, I don't need the rar file anymore. Go ahead and open up this folder. And as you can see, we have this folder here. And then we have these 3 files. What we need to do is place those files in here somewhere. And that somewhere is inside of Oblivion Remastered, Content, Packs, Squiggly Line Mods. And I think Vortex has already got this installed. Yep, so I already have it installed through Vortex, which is exactly what I was expecting to see. But for you guys, you will need to drag these on over and place them in this Squiggly Line Mods folder. Okay? And I know a lot of people are going to be angry in the comments about me calling that a squiggly line. But it is. It's squiggly, and it's a line. End of story. But yeah, once you've dragged these 3 files over here, you have the mod installed, and you're good to go. That's all there is to it. Nothing extra, nothing crazy. Totally fine. Hopefully that was pretty easy to follow along. Very straightforward, very simple. But if you got lost somewhere along the way, or you have any questions trying to get this set up, let me know in the comments down below, and I will do my best to get back to you and try to help resolve things. With all that out of the way, guys, happy modding, and happy Mondays. Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching Modding Mondays, the series. I am trying to get these videos spread as far and wide as possible so we can get as many people as possible modding this game and not being afraid to try to get their local system set up. I am going to need your help in doing this though, so please Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video as much as possible so we can get more people modding this amazing game. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next time.